Read the following pie chart carefully and answer the questions given below. So 5 questions are asked along with this data. Let us first understand the data here. So what does it talk about? Distribution of cars produced by Maruti company. So there are 2 pie charts, right? There are 2 pie charts. The first pie chart here talks about the production in 2011. See, it says total production in 2011 is 128,500, right? 1,28,500. And then there is a pie chart. How many sectors are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sectors, right? 5 different types of cars basically. Maruti Gypsy, Maruti Esteem, Maruti 800, Maruti Zen and Maruti Omni. And the percentage distribution of these cars is given to us. Like 10% of the cars produced were Maruti Gypsy. 20% of the cars produced in 2011 were Maruti Esteem. 25% of the cars were Maruti 800. Then 30% and 15% were Zen and Omni respectively. Alright. So let's say if I ask you how many Maruti Zens were produced in the year 2011. What do you say? 30%. 30% of what? 30% of the total value, right? Total is always given, right? Usually with pie charts, the total is given to you, right? So here the total is 1,28,500. So the number of Maruti Zens produced in 2011 will be 30% of 1,28,500. Now it is important as to how do you calculate this, right? That's what I told you, right? If you are not so strong in calculations or if you are weak in calculations, then you end up wasting a lot of time here, right? How do you do this? If you start doing 30 by 100 into 1,28,500, 0 and 0 get cancelled, then maybe 1,285 into 30 or into 3 and then multiply with 10. If you do all this drama in the exam, then you know you will be left behind, right? You have to be very quick in your calculation. So how do you do that? Again, speed maths or Vedic mathematics comes into picture, right? You have to be very sharp there. You just take 10%. 100% is 1,28,500. Remember, whatever is given to us in the beginning is the 100% value. 100% will be given to us. And that's the breakup. So if 100% is 1,28,500, 30% is what? Now we very well know that if 100% is this, 10% will be what? 12,850. 10% is 12,850. 30% will be 12,850 into 3. So 36,000 plus 2,400 plus 150. So I would say 38,400 plus 150, 38,550. Again, because I am reading it out, trying to tell it out, it is taking so much of time. When I have to do it mentally, I'll save a few more seconds, right? I mean, same is applicable to you guys, like 15%. 15% of this value. Now, what is important is how do you calculate this 15%? Do you do it on paper or without paper? A smart person will do it without paper. See, 15% is nothing but 10% plus 5%. Which are both easy to calculate, right? 10% is how much? 12,850. If 10% is 12,850, 5% will be half of it, calculating which is not difficult, right? Half of 12,850, 6,425. Now club these two values, you will get the 15% equivalent. So 12,000 plus 6,000, 18,000. 800 plus 400, 1,200. So 19,275. So 19,275 will be the value. Again, because I am explaining it to you, it is taking a little longer, right? When you do it yourself, mentally, you will be able to get the answer much faster. So calculation is definitely going to play a key role for you to solve these questions. Now look at the second pie chart. There is one more pie chart given to us which says percentage increase in 2012. See, the total production of 2011 was given to us 1,28,500. The second pie chart says percentage increase in 2012 is 40%. The increase in the production obviously in 2012 is 40%. Which means what is the total of 2012? It will be 1,28,500 plus 40% of 1,28,500. Yes or no? The increment is 40%. So whatever they are producing the previous year, add 40% of that to itself to get the new value. Or you know that this is like 100% plus 40%, right? 40% of what? 40% of the same value, right? 1,28,500. So instead of taking it as 1,28,500 plus 40% of 1,28,500, you can also say this is like 140% of 1,28,500 or simply 1.4 into 1,20,500 because this is 100% and this is 40%. 100% plus 40%, 140%. Alright. Now don't start calculating what actually is 140% of 1,28,500 and then these individual values. Many students ask this question to me, that is it good to first find out all the values and then go to the questions. So find out all these 5 values, then find out the new value here and again do the breakup and then proceed with the questions. This in my view would be a waste of time. Never do that, because after solving all the 5 questions, you will realize that half of these values are not needed at all. So why should we waste our time in actually solving or doing all these calculations first and then going for the questions? First look at the questions, right? First look at the question. Choose find out what is to be chosen from the data. Like for example, the first question may ask us to use Maruti STM in 2011 and Maruti Zen in 2012. Solve only for those two values. Find out only those two values and use it in the calculation, right? So don't waste your time in finding out all the values in the beginning itself, if at all that's your idea, right? Never do that. Look at the question, choose whatever is needed and only work on those values. Clear? So I think that's about the data. Very clear. We can find out the different types of cars produced in 2011 and different types of cars produced in 2012. All right, let's look at the questions now. So I'll present the questions to you one after the other. I'll give you 1 minute per question and then look at the solution. Okay, so here's the first one. Look at the first one. The first question says the number of Maruti Gypsy in 2012 is what percent of the number of Maruti S-Team in 2011? The number of Maruti Gypsy in 2012 is what percent of the number of Maruti S-Team in 2011? Now do this calculation. Now first of all, which format is this? Of course, this is a percentage based question, right? The question involves the word percentage. But which of those three models? X is what percent of Y, X is what percentage more or less than Y, or percentage change? Very clearly, X is what percentage of Y. Because see, the number of Maruti Gypsy in 2012 is like X is what percent of the number of Maruti S-Team in 2011 is like Y. So X is what percent of Y. X is what percent of Y. X by Y into 100. So you need to now find out what is Maruti Gypsy in 2012, then Maruti S-Team in 2011 from the two pie charts and do the calculation. So I'll give you 1 minute for this and your time starts now. Let me tell you, it actually takes not more than 30 seconds. But since we are doing it over a digital medium, I'll give you a little longer. Okay, so I think most of you have got the answer is 35%, which is option 3. Waiting for a few more responses before we look at the solution. Alright. So all of you have got that, right? 35%. And I'm sure all of you have done it in a smart way, right? Like the first thing that you need to understand is we have to work on the number of Maruti Gypsies in 2012. So number of Maruti Gypsies in 2012, how do you get that? 5%. Number of Maruti Gypsies in 2012 is 5%. I mean the share is 5%. 5% of what? The total value, which again is 140% of 1,20,500. So you can simplify that. Then the number of Maruti S-Team in 2011. Right, number of Maruti S-Team in 2011. The number of Maruti S-Team in 2011, how do you get? The share of S-Team is 20%. 20% of what? 1,20,500. So find that value and then use in the formula X by Y into 100. But a smart person would not actually find out the values there for solving this one. Remember, always put down the whole equation. I mean, put down the full equation without doing any simplifications. And only after everything has been put in the right form, you go for simplifications. Like we know that here the answer should be Gypsy in 2012 by, again don't write this in the exam, Gypsy in 2012, S-Team in 2011 and all that, right? Don't waste your time. You will not be awarded extra marks for that. I am writing it so that I can explain it to you clearly, right? Cut this out in the exam. So Gypsies in 2012, right? How many Gypsies in 2012? Gypsies in 2012, 5%. Don't simplify, that's what I'm saying. Write it as it is, 5% of 140% of 1,28,500 divided by S-Team in 2011. How many Maruti S-Teams in 2011? 20%. 20% of how much? 1,28,500. X by Y into 100. This multiplied by 100. Are you able to follow? Now what is the advantage? 1,20,500 in numerator and denominator will get cancelled. Of course, you need not even write these values. If you really look at it, when you finish reading the question, you should know that this 128500 is not going to make any difference. So you should not even put that on paper, because if you really look at it, writing 1,28,500 will take at least 2 seconds, and that you have written here 2 times, so 4 seconds, and then you have cancelled both these values, maybe another second. So you're spending about 5 seconds in doing something which is not needed at all. You getting it? And 5 seconds is valuable in my view. right? So a smart person will not even write any of these things. Again, you know that, percentage and percentage will get cancelled, right? And this percentage will get cancelled with 100. So finally what is needed is 5 into 140 upon 20. Now 20 here goes 7 times, 5 sevens is 35. So your answer should be 35%, which is option 3. So I'm glad that all of you have got the right answer, but you have to check yourself as to how many steps did you put on paper, right? How will you solve it in the exam? Gypsy in 2012. Gypsy in 2012 is 5 into 140 divided by STM in 2011. STM in 2011 is 20 into 100, and that 100 will get cancelled with the actual 100. That's it. This is what you put on paper in the exam and mark the answer as 35. Clear? Do not write 128500 12. See, I am not saying that you'll write it intentionally, but it has become a habit for many of us. It has become a habit. We cannot complete the solution without writing everything. So you have to kick that habit out. That's what I told in the first session. In a class about 5-6 weeks ago, right? Remember, I told you about 5 habits that you have to kick in the exam, right? 5 habits that you have to kick in the exam. You have to kick this habit of writing everything on paper, right? You should not put pen on paper. You should never put pen on paper. It's a waste of time, utter waste of time. And the problem is not that we are wasting our time. The problem is we don't realize that we are wasting our time, right? The bigger problem is we don't even know that time is getting wasted. And so we don't even act upon it. You can take an action only when you know that there is some problem. But we feel that writing that was important, so we have written it, which is not the case, right? So I don't know how many of you have actually done it in a lengthy way. I could see one person mentioning that I did all the calculations on paper, but it's not needed, right? Don't put unnecessary steps on paper. Let's look at the next one. Here comes the next question. What is the total number of Maruti Zen in 2011 and 12? Now this is something where you need to do your calculation. So do that. The total number of Maruti Zen in 11 and 12. Maybe 1 more minute for this. Your time starts now. I'm surprised that some of you have skipped it because I thought this is not complex at all, right? Shubhajit Chandra says he'll skip it. Not needed. You see, all others have got the answer, right? Everybody's got 83525 except Amit, who says it is 96375. But then 96375 is not there in the options at all, Amit. So it is anyway a wrong answer. 83525. So if all others are able to solve it, I'm sure those who have skipped can also do it. What do we do? Look at it. What is the total number of Maruti Zen in 2011 and 12? Now Maruti Zen in 2011, 30% off, 1,28,500. Maruti Zen in 2012, 25% off, 140% off, 1,20,500. Alright. So take the total now, 30% off 128,500 plus 25% off 140% off 128,500. Now I'm sure all of you understand why we are taking 140% of 128,500, right? We have already discussed about this in the introduction part of this question. Now what is important is how do you simplify these things? If you start finding out what is 140% of this and then take 25% of that value and add it to 30% of this value, you are wasting your time, right? What will a smart person do? He will take 1,28,500 common, right? So he'll say in the first year it is 30% plus in the second year it is 25% of 140%. Now here comes this concept of percentage, right? X percent of Y percent. We have discussed this in our videos, right? X percent of Y percent. How do you calculate X percent of Y percent? It is XY by 100%. Many times it is useful, right? Like in this case, 25% of 140%. So you just take 25% of 140% first of all. Instead of taking 140% of 1,28,500, take 25% of 140%. How much will that be? You know that 25% is 1/4. 1/4 of 140% is 35%. So this comes out to be 35%. Again, this can be done mentally. This calculation, 25% of 140% can be done mentally also. So you know that in the first year it is 30%, in the second year it is 25% of 140, which is 35%. So overall it should be 65%. 65% of 1,28,500. Simplify this and you'll get your answer. Of course, simplification when you do, you'll get the answer as 83,525. And again, simplification is your lookout. That's what I'm telling you, right? Formula or the shortcut formula is not important. How do you do these calculations is important. If you're not good in calculation, you'll waste a lot of time in doing the simplification here. What do? You can go for split and merge. Don't try to calculate 65%. 65% can be taken as 50% plus 10% plus 5%. Though it looks like a lengthy process, it is actually easier. Why is it easier? Because calculating 50%, 10% and 5% is much easier than calculating 165%. 50% you know is half. What is half of 1,28,500? I mean, just try and do an approximate calculation. I'm sure we'll be able to eliminate some of these options here. Half of 1,28,500. Half of 1,28,000. So half of 1 lakh is 50,000. For 28,000, 14,000. So 50 plus 14, 64,000. You can say 64,250. Half of 500 is 250. Plus 10%. What is 10%? 12,850. What is 5%? Half of this, 6,425. Now just add the thousands first. See what happens. 64,000 plus 12,000 is 76,000. 76,000 plus 6,000 is 82,000. Now you know that answer is 82,000 plus something. Again, there are hundreds to be added, but 82,000 plus. Immediately option 2 and option 5 gets eliminated. Now how much more than 82,000? 250 and 850 is 1100. 1100 plus 425 is 1525. So 82,000 plus 1525. You can say exact answer is 83,525, or you know that it will be definitely more than 82,525 also. Cancelled, and it cannot be 85,125. So even if you go by elimination without doing the complete calculation, you will be able to find out that answer is option 1. Alright. Then again, there are various techniques. If you don't want to do the calculation completely, you can go for let's say, of course, unit digit method will not work here because every option is ending in 5. But what may work is digital root method. I hope all of you know about digital root method. Very, very interesting technique which comes from Vedic mathematics, right? You can work with digital roots, and without having to do any of these kind of calculations, you may be able to mark the correct answer. Alright. Of course, I don't have the scope of explaining this digital root method here in this session because we are already at 7 o'clock. We have to close it soon. But do not worry. You can watch our video on speed maths or simplifications and approximations and learn about this technique. Right? Very, very interesting technique and definitely useful in some cases. Right? Some cases there. Look at the next question. What is the percentage increase in the number of Maruti 800 from 2011 to 12? Now look at this. This is the second type from percentages. What is the percentage increase? Remember, what is the percentage increase in number of Maruti 800 from 2011 to 12? So he's talking about percentage increase. It is like percentage change. Second type or third type you can say, whichever way you look at it, right? Percentage change. Percentage change is what? Final value minus initial value by initial value into 100. Now what is the final value? Of course, the value in 2012. What value in 2012? The number of Maruti 800s in 2012. What is the initial value? The number of Maruti 800s in 2011. So you know that the answer should be final value minus initial value upon initial value into 100. Again, do not write this formula. I am just putting it here for the sake of clarity. Now what is the final value? Maruti 800 in 2012. How many were Maruti 800 in 2012? 33%. 33% of 140%. You getting it? Minus initial value. Again, we are doing it in a smart way directly. You know that in case of percentages, that 1,28,500 in the numerator and denominator will get cancelled. So don't waste your time in writing all that. We have already discussed this in first question, right? Do not write 33% of, 140% of 1,28,500 because anyway we are going to cancel it, right? And don't even try to find out the individual values first. Finding out, number of 800s in 12, number of 800s in 11, and then finding out final minus initial by initial into 100. That would be a utter waste of time. So 33% of 140 minus initial value. How much is initial value? 25% straight away. Divided by initial value, 25% into 100. Final minus initial by initial into 100. Do the calculation and you get the answer. Yes or no? Again, you can apply that X percentage or Y percentage that we have discussed in the previous question, right? So the point that I am trying to make is, actually finding out number of Maruti 800s in 11 and that in 12 is not needed, right? And be smart. Don't even waste your time in putting that value on paper there. Just play with these real factors that can, impact this answer. Now do the calculation. 33% of 140%. How much is 33%? Is approximately 1/3. I mean, you can do an approximate calculation also if you are okay with that. Otherwise, simplify that. Somebody says, can you please explain how you are taking 140%? I think you have joined late, Mandhan or Madan. Madan, we had discussed this in the beginning of the session, or when in the introduction part of this question, that he says percentage increase in 2012 is 40%. That means the value, the total value for 2012 of Maruti cars is how much? It is 1,28,500 plus 40%. It has increased by 40%. So plus 40%. 40% of what? 40% of 1,28,500. If you take 1,28,500 common here, this is like 100% of 1,28,500 plus 40% of 1,28,500. So it comes out to be 100% plus 40% of 1,28,500, which is 140% of 1,28,500. Right? That's the idea. Yeah, I think all of you have got the answer right, 84.8. So do the calculation. Like I said, calculation is anyway your responsibility. You can do that and get the answer. Okay. You can refer to our videos on simplifications, approximations, speed maths for learning various techniques to do these things, right? Let us focus only on the data interpretation concept as such for today's session. Here's the next one. What is the average number of Maruti Omni in both the years? Now this again is simple average based question. I've told you, right? Questions can be on average. So you have to find out the average of what? The Maruti Omni in 2012 and 11 in both the years. So Omni in 2011 is 15%, right? How much is it in 2012? We have already discussed this. 15% of 140%. So 15% plus 15% of 140% divided by 2. This should be multiplied by 1,28,500. See, we have taken 128,500 as common value here, right? The number of Maruti Omni in 2011 was 15% of 1,28,500. So we are taking that out. In 2012, it was 15% of 140% of 1,28,500. And anyway, since it is average, we have to divide by 2. So that's what we can do, right? Now, what is 15% of 140%? It's like 10% plus 5%. So 21%, right? 14% plus 7%, 21%. So basically 15% plus 21%. 15% plus 21% is what? 36%. 36% by 2 is 18%. So your actual answer is 18%. 18% of what? The given value here. 128,500. Now do the calculation and you'll get the answer. You're getting it? 15% plus 15% of 140% by 2. Now 15% of 140% is like percentage of percentage, right? X percent of Y percent. So we know that it is XY by 100%. Or simply take 15% as 10% plus 5%. So 10% of 140 is 14, 5% of 140 is 7, 14 plus 7, 21, 21%. Now 15% plus 21% is 36%. 36% by 2 is 18%. 18% of 1,28,500. Now after this, again is your lookout. Again, some of you may be disappointed that why am I not doing the calculation? The simple reason here is that me doing it for you will not help. You have to do it yourself. Learn those techniques, practice every day, spend 45 to 60 minutes every day, and you'll be able to do it yourself. Anyway, I would just like to explain the best way to do this 18% calculation. A smart person will not say that this is 18%. He'll say it is 20% minus 2%. Yes or no? 18% can be taken as 20% minus 2%. And it's not two different calculations. It is the same calculation. The moment you calculate 20%, 2% is readily available, right? What is 20% of 1,28,500? 10% is 12,850. 20% is double. So 24,000 plus 1,700, which is like 25,700. Now this is 25,700. What is 25,700? 20%. 2% is 20% by 10. So 25,700 by 10 is 2,570. And again, you need not do the complete calculation here. You know that hundreds minus 70. You look at only the last parts. 700 is like 25,700 minus 2,750. From 700 when you subtract 70, or from any 100 when you subtract 70, the answer should end with 30. Yes or no? Look at the options. First eliminated, second eliminated, third eliminated, fourth eliminated. Answer has to be fifth option. Getting it? So two smart approaches here. One is, do not consider 18% as 18%. It is 20% minus 2%. Again, the moment you calculate 20%, 2% is readily available, right? 20% by 10 will give you 2%. So 25,700 by 10 is 2,570. Now, don't do the complete difference also, because unit place method helps here, right? All the answers are ending in 0, but look at the tens digit. 1, 4, 6, 5, 3. I know that from 100, when I subtract 70, I should be left with 30. So answer has to be fifth option. Kirti Priya says, in exam pressure, we do calculations on paper. That's what I told you, Kirti, in the first, not in the first session again, but 4 or 5 sessions back when we discussed about these 5 habits that you have to kick. I know that it is because of pressure you're doing it on calculations, but if you practice regularly every day, then you will not feel that pressure. You're feeling, that pressure in the exam, or you're getting nervous in the exam, not because you are not strong in calculations. It is because you are never confident of doing it, and that is because you never tried it. Right? In fact, I had myself told in my session then that, many of us do this out of pressure or, out of low confidence. We think that let's do it on paper, but that's not the way, right? That will not help you crack the exam. Okay, next one. What is the difference between number of Maruti Gypsy in 11 and Maruti estimate in 12? Now this is a simple difference based question. You have to find out the difference between two values. What values? Gypsy is in 11. Gypsy in 11 is 10%. And Esteem in 12. Where is Esteem in 12? Esteem in 12 is 22%. Remember, 22% of 140%. So 22% of 140%. How much is that? 28% plus 2.8%, 30.2%. Yes or no? Again, calculations your lookout, right? 20% of 140 is 28. 2% will be 2.8. 28 plus 2.8, 30.2. So now if you see, we have to find out the difference between Gypsy in 11 and Esteem in 12. Gypsy is 10%. Esteem in 12 is actually 22% of this 140, but by taking percentage of percentage, it effectively comes out to be 30.2. So now you have to take the difference between these two values only. 10% minus 30.2%. Of what? Of the same 1,28,500. Now this again is 20.2%. How much is 20%? We have just calculated, right? 25,700. So I can say approximately 25,700. Of course, 0.2% is also there, but 10% minus 30% is 20%. 20% of this is approximately 25,700. Look at the options. It should be definitely more than 25,700. So option 1, option 5 gets eliminated. How much more? 0.2% more. Remember, 0.2%. So can it be 28,000? No. Can it be 26,000? No. Or can it be 26,000? Maybe. Check. How much is it? 0.2%. See, 1% will be 1285. 0.1% is 128.5. 0.2% will be double of that. So 256, 257. So this is like 257 plus 257. What did we have to do? 20% we have calculated plus 0.2%. Again, yeah, I think 0.2% we had calculated, not needed, because 20% by 100 will give us 0.2%. So 25,700 plus 257. Looks like none of the options are satisfying. So we have committed some mistake somewhere. Find it out. 22% of 140, right? 28 plus 2. Oh, I'm sorry. This is 30.8. Sorry about this. 22%. So 28 plus 2.8, right? Although I said 28 plus 2.8, I think I added it in a wrong way, right? 28 plus 2.8 is 30.8. So 30.8. Yeah, so you'll have to add 0.8%. So 0.8%, which means into 4. So 25,700 plus another 1,000, somewhere around 26,000. Yeah, so option 2 would be the answer. Even this would get eliminated.